Oh, wow. It started raining much harder as soon as I hit record. That's fascinating. Hey, everyone. Welcome back to Leal Legacies Radnarok. My name's Justin, and this is our retrospective podcast for Walt Disney's Melody Time. If you're anything like me, you were somewhat in the dark that these package films were counted amongst the, ranks of the other Disney animated features. Ranks, is that what I want? They're in the same catalog as the Disney animated feature films, up there with like Cinderella, Snow White, Sleeping Beauty, Pinocchio, all those storybook and fairy tale themed stories. We have these package films that all came out one right after another during the, time that World War II was wreaking havoc across the globe. So these last few episodes have really been super enlightening and super interesting. I didn't really know, for one, that they were called package films, and two, I wouldn't have put them, in the same category as like the princess movies and stuff like that. But lo and behold, there they are. I'm confident in saying that I was aware of a lot of the material from these package films, but I never once in my Disney fandom conceived that a lot of these like offshoot shorts were originally compiled together to be independent theatrically released features. Like Fun and Fancy Free is probably the best example, with Mickey and the Beanstalk being included, because since then we've gotten Mickey and the Beanstalk as a standalone cartoon, a lot of the time. So Melody Time is very similar in that way, wherein I had seen a lot of, or a number of the shorts that comprise Melody Time independently. So the discovery of seeing them all in one place and having them together as originally as a animated feature release is just, I don't know. It was very, what is the word I'm looking for? It was very, I don't know, fascinating, but that doesn't feel like the right word. I don't know. But anyhow, let's dive into it. If you haven't already, I highly recommend familiarizing yourself with Melody Time. Go give it a watch. And if you feel so inclined, while you're watching, listen to our watch-along podcast so we could watch it together in a very indirect way. Before we're diving into here, because, learning about the film, I don't know, maybe you want to learn about the film and then go watch it. But, you do what you want to do. Live your life the way you see fit, as long as you're not hurting anybody. Maybe you don't even want to do the watch-alongs. You just like hearing Disney trivia as I read it off the internet. Anyway, so Melody Time is a 1948 American hybrid musical film and the 10th theatrically released animated feature produced by Walt Disney. It was released to theaters by RKO Radio Pictures, of course, on May 27th, 1948. Made up of 7 segments set to popular and folk music. The film is like Make Mine music before it. So Make Mine music is one that I haven't provided a watch-along commentary to because I have not been able to get my hands on it. I use Disney Plus. I make no secret of that, when doing the watch-alongs, and Make Mine Music isn't on Disney Plus, and I don't know why. And I've never seen or owned Make Mine Music. I've never seen it, and I have never owned it on VHS, DVD, Blu-ray, whatever. I didn't know it existed, to be honest with you. And again, that's a lot of these packaged films, with the exception of really Three Caballeros, I was in the dark about. So, you know, like Make Mine Music before it, the popular music version of Fantasia. Wait a minute. Hold on. Okay. It's made up of 7 segments set to popular and folk music. The film is like Make Mine Music before it, the popular music version of Fantasia. Got it. The first time I read that over, my brain didn't, allow that to make sense. But basically, this is Fantasia, but set to popular and folk music of the time. So pretty cool, right? I thought so. Melody Time, while not meeting the artistic accomplishments of Fantasia, was mildly successful. It is the 5th Disney package film following Saludos Amigos, The Three Caballeros, Make Mine Music, and Fun and Fancy Free. So the way that's worded makes me believe that Make Mine Music came before Fun and Fancy Free. And I will do Make Mine Music as soon as I'm able to get my hands on it. So there you go. But yeah, Melody Time fits within the ranks of, Saludos Amigos, Three Caballeros, Make Mine Music, and Fun and Fancy Free, which those package films I feel like could stand alone on their own without being included in with, again, the princess films and like fairy tale storybook like films. It just seems weird. They don't when you set them side by side, they don't. I mean, obviously they're both Disney, so they both feel very Disney, but the storytelling and like cinematic experience is just way different. Directed by Jack Kinney, Clyde Geronami. Oh my gosh, here we go. Already with the butchering the names. So Clyde, and then Geronimi. So Geronami. I don't know. Hamilton Luskay, Wilfred Jackson. Those are our directors. And then written by Winston Hibler, Harry Reeves, Ken Anderson, Erdman Penner, Penner, Homer Brightman, Ted Sears, Joe Rinaldi, Bill Cottrell, Jesse Marsh, Art Scott, Bob Moore, and John Walbridge. Those are all our writers here. Man, that's a bunch of writers. Produced, of course, by Walt Disney and starring Roy Rogers, Trigger, which was Roy Rogers' horse. Really? Trigger gets a credit? Dennis Day, the Andrews Sisters, Fred Waring, and the Pennsylvanians. All right. Waring. I just hit the table on accident. I always have to hit something. I can't ever do a podcast where I'm not knocking into something and causing an obnoxious banging sound. I'm so sorry. But you're used to it by now, right? I'm not. I still do it, and I still get very disappointed every time I do it. But what are you going to do? Where did I leave off? Pennsylvanians. Oh, yeah. Freddie Martin, Ethel Smith, Francis Langford, Buddy Clark, Bob Nolan, Sons of the Pioneers, the Dining Sisters, Bobby Driscoll, Luanna Patton, That's the end of our starring list. Oh boy. I think I need to get glasses. Like I'm from where I'm sitting and reading this from, yeah. So on top of my dyslexia, I probably need some glasses. Well. All right. So the plot, according to Disney, the film's plot is as follows. In the grand tradition of Disney's greatest musical classics, such as Fantasia, Melody Time features 7 classic stories, each enhanced with high-spirited music and unforgettable characters. A feast for the eyes and ears, full of wit and charm, a delightful Disney classic with something for everyone. Rose Pelswick, in 1948, review for the News Sentinel described the film as an adventure into the intriguing make-believe world peopled by Walt Disney cartoon characters. One more time, why not? So Rose Pelswick in 1948 was a reviewer for the News Sentinel. She described the film as an adventure into the intriguing make-believe world peopled by Walt Disney's cartoon characters. Got it. It also explains that with the off-screen voice of Buddy Clark doing the introductions, the episodes include fantasy, folklore, South American rhythms, poetry, and slapstick. A 1948 review by the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette described it as a mixture of fantasy, abstraction, parable, music, color, and movement. All right. I mean, those are some rad, that's a rad description, I suppose. But in my melty brain right now, it just didn't flow. It didn't. But whatever. Seemed like people enjoyed it, right? All right. So let's see. The 7 mini musical stories outlined. Once Upon a Wintertime. This Mansley segment features Frances Langford singing the title song about 2 romantic young lovers on a winter day in December during the late 19th century. The lovers are named Jenny and Joe. Unlike most Disney cartoons, Jenny and Joe do not have spoken dialogue in this cartoon. Well, yeah, because there's singing over the whole thing. Joe shows off on the ice for his lover Jenny, and near tragedy and a timely rescue ensues. This is intertwined with a similar rabbit couple, like several other segments. The package of these package films, Once Upon a Wintertime, was later released theatrically as an individual short, in this case on September 17th, 1954. Clips from the beginning and end of the short showing a horse-drawn sleigh along with the Carfaces, 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 and their blue horses. Oh wait, is that their last name? Along with the Carfaces and their blue horses, are featured in Disney's Very Merry Christmas Songs. I knew I had seen that in a Christmas-themed something or other. So that's interesting. The clips from the beginning and the end of the short were cycled for Disney's Very Merry Christmas Songs, which is part of Disney's sing-along songs as a background movie for the song Jingle Bells, also belonged to the Carefaces and their blue horses. I don't know what that means. What is that? The car faces and their blue horses. I don't know. But what I'm really pulling from this is that when Once Upon a Wintertime opened and they showed us in that horse-drawn sleigh, it made me think of Jingle Bells right away, and I didn't really understand why. And now I do. I do understand why, because I had seen that. I had seen that footage in a Disney sing-along songs for Jingle Bells. Fascinating. Bumble Boogie is next up in these 7 segments. This segment presents a surrealistic battle for a solitary bumblebee as he tries to ward off a visual and musical frenzy. The music is courtesy of Freddie Martin and his orchestra, with Jack Finna playing the piano. Look at that. And is a swing jazz variation of Flight of the Bumblebee, which was one of the many pieces considered for Fantasia. Now, I said whoa because I was going to try to read Rimsky-Korsakov's. I guess I could have read it because I didn't butcher it that bad. But Flight of the Bumblebee, which apparently was considered to be included in Fantasia, which explains why that segment was so super Fantasia-y. Fantasia-ish. Next up, the third segment, The Legend of Johnny Appleseed, which I had seen as a standalone, I believe. This segment is a retelling of the story of John Chapman, who spent most of his life roaming the Midwestern United States, mainly Ohio and Indiana, in the pioneer days, and planting apple trees, thus earning his famous nickname. He also spread Christianity. Dennis Day narrates as an old settler who knew Johnny Appleseed, and provides the voice for both Johnny and his guardian angel. This segment was released independently on December 25th, 1955 as Johnny Appleseed. So I've seen Johnny Appleseed for sure by itself. No idea that it was included in Melody Time. Didn't know Melody Time existed. The piece has a running time of 17 minutes, making it the film's second longest piece. Before being adapted as a segment in Melody Time, the story of Johnny Appleseed was first immortalized around campfires, then later turned into storybook form. Interesting. Our fourth segment is Little Toot. This segment is based on the story of Little Toot by Hardy Gramatke, Gramatky, Hardy Gramatke, in which in which the title protagonist, Little Toot, a small tugboat, wanted to be just like his father, Big Toot, but could not seem to stay out of trouble. Yep. The Andrews sisters provide the vocals. A clip from Little Toot features briefly in the Friendship song on Disney's Sing-Along Songs volume Friend Like Me. It was also featured in Sing Me a Story with Belle. Now, I had the Disney Sing-Along Song volume Friend Like Me. That was the Aladdin one. Now let me think. Provided a clip from Little Toot features briefly in the Friendship song on Disney. So the Friendship song. I'm trying to think of which song that was. Anyhow, that's very interesting because I would watch that on repeat. So back in the day, in the 90s at least, we would get, say, Aladdin came out in theaters, and then they would release a VHS of Disney sing-along songs themed after the theatrical release of, an animated feature. They had one for Little Mermaid, Beauty and the Beast, Aladdin, and I think they had one for Lion King as well. But they had a bunch. They had another one that was like Disneyland specifically songs, which was really cool. Anyway, that's neither here nor there. Basically, I had Friend Like Me because I loved that song from Aladdin, and before owning Aladdin on VHS, this was my go-to to get my fix of that song. So I'm very well versed in that specific VHS release. I'm having a hard time pinpointing the friendship song. Anyway, was that the third? Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So the fifth segment is Trees. This segment featured a reflection of the 1913 poem Trees by Joyce Kilmer, and music by Oscar Rosbach, performed by Fred Waring and the Pennsylvanians. Fred Waring, the Pennsylvanians. Waring, Waring, right? Fred Waring and the Pennsylvanians. With the lyrics... Wait, hold on. Man, I am just not... I'm suffering from severe brain fry, in case you have not picked up on that yet. Pennsylvanians with lyrical setting accompanying animation of bucolic scenes seen through the changing of the seasons. Well, I butchered that phenomenally, so let's try it again. Okay? Trees. This segment featured a recitation of the 1913 poem Trees by Joyce Kilmer and music by Oscar Rosbach, performed by Fred Waring and the Pennsylvanians, with the lyrical setting accompanying animation of bucolic scenes seen through the changing of the seasons. Wow. You know what? Second time through, still didn't mesh with me. I don't know. Hopefully you picked it up and can figure out what I'm trying to say. To preserve the look of the original story sketches, layout artist Ken O'Connor came up with the idea of using frosted cells and rendering the pastel images right onto the cell before being photographed. Each cell was laminated in clear lacquer to protect the pastel. The result was a look that had never been seen in animation before. Now, I'm going to have to go back and watch Trees to really kind of wrap my head what they're saying. But there's some animation innovation within Trees in Melody Time. So that's very cool. Then the sixth segment, Blame It on the Samba. This segment has Donald Duck and Jose Carioca meeting the Araquan bird, one of my favorites, who introduces them to the pleasures of the samba. The accompanying music is the 1914 polka Apanhete Cavaquinho by Ernesto Nazareth. Okay, so the polka, Apanhei -te, and then comma, Cavaquinho. Oh my gosh, this is really boggling my brain right now. Let's see. So that chunk of music was fitted with English lyrics for this segment. I remember Blame It on the Samba was very, very fun. It was a very fun short. Let's see. The Dining Sisters provided the vocals while organist Ethel Smith appears in a live action role. Oh, that's Ethel Smith. Interesting. Not that I know Ethel Smith from much, but she was like the live action portion of that segment, so it's nice to put a face to the name or name to the face. Ethel Smith was an American organist who played primarily in a pop style on the Hammond organ. So there you go. Shout out Ethel Smith. And then lastly, the last of these 7 segments is Pecos Bill. The film's final segment is about Texas, or hang on, the film's final segment is about Texas's famous hero Pecos Bill. He was raised by coyotes, similar to how Mowgli was raised by wolves in the Jungle Book, and later became the biggest and best cowboy that ever lived. It also features his horse, Widowmaker, and recounts the ill-fated romance between Bill and a beautiful cowgirl named Slewfoot Sue. Oh, Slewfoot Sue. Who he falls in love with at first sight. Yeah, well, we know. We've seen Pecos Bill. This retelling of the story features Roy Rogers, Bob Nolan, Trigger, and the Sons of the Pioneers telling the story to Bobby Driscoll and Luana Patton. Now, Luana Patton, I feel like, is a familiar name from Fun and Fancy Free, right? I think so. I believe Luana Patton was also in Fun and Fancy Free. I'm very confident. I'm not going to look it up, but I'm very confident. Okay, so Bobby Driscoll and Luana Patton in a live-action frame story. So yeah, there was a live-action portion featuring these actors where Roy Rogers ends up telling the story of Pecos Bill. This segment was later edited on the film's NTSC video release, with the exception of the PAL release. Those are 2 video formats. One is the American video format, and then the other is like the English video format. To remove all parts with Bill smoking cigarettes and almost the entire tornado scene with Bill rolling his cigarette and lighting it with a lightning bolt. Both the cigarette and the tornado scenes were restored when the film was released on Disney Plus with a total running time of 22 minutes, making it the lengthiest piece of all seven segments. Now that's fascinating, because while reading that, I was like, I definitely remember him smoking a bunch of cigarettes and rolling a cigarette and lighting it with a lightning bolt from the watch along. But that's so interesting that had been cut out up until them adding Melody Time to Disney Plus. So that's really, really fascinating. Huh. See, that's the kind of thing. That's the kind of thing we do these retrospectives for, to learn those little fun tidbits. And there's a restaurant in Frontierland at Disney's Magic Kingdom in Disney World called Pecos Bill's, and it's this character. This character has his own restaurant. Fun, right? I think so. Okay, so we did go through the cast, but here's the cast as, listed with who they play. Roy Rogers as himself, Trigger, the smartest horse in the movies himself. Okay, a lot of these people are just themselves. Buddy Clark, singer, narrator, Luana Patton herself, Bobby Driscoll himself. Okay, so a lot of those people just played themselves. Let's see. Okay, production. In late 1947, Disney announced that he would be releasing a regrouping of various cartoons at his studio under 2 titles, Melody Time and Two Fabulous Characters, to be released in August 1948 and 1949, respectively. Melody Time ended up being released a few months earlier than planned in May. Melody Time is considered to be the last anthology feature made by the Walt Disney Animated Studios The next film to be released was The Adventures of Ichabod and Mr. Toad, which featured 2 stories. What? Okay, let's try that again. So Melody Time is considered to be the last anthology feature made by the Walt Disney Animation Studios. Okay. The next film to be released was The Adventures of Ichabod and Mr. Toad, which featured 2 stories. Interesting. Okay. These package features were little-known short film compilations that Disney produced and released as feature films during World War II. Oh, okay. So it's the last of the package films. Got it. It's just the way they worded that. I don't know. Like, why didn't they just say this was the lead? Okay, so it was the last anthology feature made by Walt Disney Animation Studios. Why couldn't you just say it was the last package film release? Huh? Anyway, released during World War II, they were financially and artistically lightweight productions meant to bring in profits to allow the studio to return to fairy tale single narrative feature form, an endeavor which they successfully accomplished 2 years later with Cinderella. There we go. So, as I was saying kind of earlier in this episode, these package films were what kept Disney afloat during World War II, and it was the breakaway from fairy tale single narrative feature form. So fairy tale single narratives is what I was trying to say when I was like fairy tale princess, the storybook. There you go. Fairy tale single narrative features. I need to remember that. All right. And then they got back to doing that with Cinderella, which we, of course, will cover down the line. While the shorts contrast in length, form, and style, a common thread throughout is that each is accompanied by songs from musicians and vocalists of the 1940s, both popular and folk music. Okay, we know that specifically for Fun and Fancy or not Fun and Fancy Free, but Melody Time. This sets it apart from the similarly structured Fantasia, whose segments were set to classical music instead of popular and folk music. As opposed to Fun and Fancy Free, whose story was bound to the tales of Bongo and Mickey and the Beanstalk. In this film, Walt Disney has let his animators and his color magicians have free reign. So there was a lot more freedom with Melody Time compared to Fun and Fancy Free. So, fascinating. Melody Time was the last film the Andrews sisters took part in. They sang throughout the 10-minute segment known as Little Toot. Andrews sisters member Maxine said, "It was quite an experience. On the wall at the studio, they had the whole story in picture form. 2 songwriters played the score, and Walt Disney explained it to us. It was new. It was a new thing for Disney. We sang the narrative. It was very exciting to work with Disney. He was such a gentleman." That's really nice to hear. Walt Disney was a gentleman. He wasn't a weirdie, according to the Andrews sisters, or at least Maxine. Let's see. Favorite Disney juvenile actors, Bobby Driscoll and Luna Patton, who also starred in Song of the South and So Dear to My Heart, appeared in the last sequence as the 2 children who hear the story of Pecos Bill. What a weird independent segment. Okay, cool. And then Song of the South is another one that I don't know if we'll ever get to do a watch along and retrospective for. Maybe we could do a retrospective for it, but I don't know where to find Song of the South. I get it. I get the qualms that people have with Song of the South. At the same time, though, it's part of history. So I don't know. I'd like to get my hands on it at some point and be able to do a watch along, but you know what? I still may do a retrospective on it because I don't necessarily believe that Song of the South was intended to be a racist production, but that is the connotation that it has in today's age, which, wrong or right, better or worse, it is what it is. But I'm a firm believer in holding on to history because, as my uncle so adamantly would say throughout my youth, those who fail to study history are doomed to repeat it. Those who don't learn from history are doomed to repeat it. So Dear to My Heart is another one that I'm not super familiar with. So Dear to My Heart is a 1948 American live-action animated feature film produced by Walt Disney, released by Arcade Studios. It's a world premiere in Chicago, Illinois. Like Song of the South, the film combines animation and live action, which just alone, Song of the South combining live action and animation in the 1940s, I personally think is an innovative feat in animation, and that's not something that should go ignored, but whatever. Okay, so there we go. That was a little tidbit about Bobby and Luana. Melody Time was the last feature film to include Donald Duck and Jose Carioca until 1988 in the movie Who Framed Roger Rabbit. Interesting. So the last film to include Donald Duck and Jose Carioca until Roger Rabbit. I didn't know Jose Carioca was in Who Framed Roger Rabbit. Also, Who Framed Roger Rabbit, though a very Disney, it's very Disney, but I don't believe Disney, it's not counted amongst the animated features from Disney Studios because they shared so many. There were Warner Brothers characters in there, and it was just very like hodgepodge. So I'm not really sure where that lands. I'd like to do a watch along for Roger Rabbit, but I don't know if it'll be part of this collection specifically. So anyhow, home media. Wait, I missed it. We want to do release first, so let's look at the release. The film was originally released in the United States, Brazil, and Argentina in 1948, and then in 1949 it was released in Australia, and in the 1950 in Mexico and Uruguay. Wow, what a widely spread release, and to very specific parts of the world. From December 1948 in the UK to 15, they put the number before the month, and that really messed with my brain. Let's try that again. So from December 1948 in the UK to September 15th, 1954 in Denmark, the film was released across Europe. The film was known by a variety of names, including, I cannot even begin to try to pronounce that. It's in Bulgarian, and we don't have some of these characters in the English alphabet, so I don't even know what sound they make. And I don't even know, how I'll read off the letters if I can't confidently pronounce something? I don't even know what some of these letters are called. So there was a very interesting Bulgarian name for a Melody Time. And then in France, it was Melody Cocktail. and then Musik, Tanz und Rhythmus in Germany, and then Save le tu Okio in Finland. Yeah. All right. So, so let's see. Melodie Cocktail in France. I got that one down. And then Musique, M-U-S-I-K, comma, new word, T-A-N-Z, new word, U-N-D, new word, R-H-Y-T-H-M-U-S. So however you say that in German. And then for the Finnish title, it was S and then an A with the two dots above it, V-E-L-T-U-O-K-I-O. Voila. Disney later released a package film entitled Musicland, a 9-segment film which recycled sequences from both Make Mine Music and Melody Time. 5 selections were from Melody Time, while the other was the short Two for the Record, which consisted of 2 segments produced under Benny Goodman's direction. So I'm guessing Two for the Record was part of Make Mine Music, if I had to guess. Melody Time was unusual in that until 1998, 50 years after its initial release, it remained one of the handful of Disney's animated features yet to be released on video cassette. So it didn't come out on VHS until 1998. That is why I did not own it. Not that I stopped getting movies in 1998, but my mother passed away in 1995, and she was really the source of adding to our Disney collection, especially our VHS collection. So after her passing, that kind of, my grandparents really weren't hip to Disney releases. So, fascinating. Some of the segments have been re-released as featurettes, and Once Upon a Wintertime has been included on other Disney video cartoon compilations. See, I knew it. These package films, man, I've seen their content, but all chopped up and independently released. Home media. Melody Time was first released on January 25th, 1987 in Japan on Laserdisc, and then on VHS on June 2nd in 1998 under the Walt Disney Masterpiece Collection title. Prior to its 1998 home video debut in the U.S., Once Upon a Wintertime was featured on the VHS A Walt Disney Christmas, Little Toot on Storybook Classics, Blame It on the Samba on The Wonderful World of Disney, Music for Everybody, and Pecos Bill on the American Heroes VHS paired with Paul Bunyan. That's what I know Pecos Bill from, is that pairing with Paul Bunyan. Fascinating. Its latest release was on June 6th, 2000 on VHS and DVD as part of the Walt Disney Gold Classic Collection. However, all scenes of smoking were digitally removed in Pecos Bill's segment. This is not the case in the UK region to DVD, where it is unaltered. That sentence didn't make sense. This is not the case in the UK region, the number 2 DVD, where it is unaltered. What? On Disney Plus, the smoking scenes were left intact for the first time in 70 years. See, so if you're going to leave these smoking scenes intact, I'm glad they left that alone for the Disney Plus release, strictly because I want to see all these things, how they were intended to be seen, how they were initially released. That's what I want to see as a Disney fanboy. The DVD bonus features in the form of the following 3 cartoons: Casey Bats Again, yep, Lambert the Sheepish Lion, yep, and Donald Applecore. What? Is that supposed to be Johnny Appleseed? Donald Applecore. Casey Bats Again, I remember, and Lambert the Sheepish Lion, I remember seeing those independently. Donald Applecore does not ring a bell at all, which is weird. Marketing, the various taglines of the film were "For Your All-Time Good Time," 7 hit songs, 11 musical stars, and Walt Disney's Great New Musical Comedy. Interesting. Collectible items from the film include books, figures, and posters. Crazy. Controversy. Oh no. Due to the controversy surrounding the smoking in Pecos Bill, the segment was heavily edited. Yeah, we know. When the film was re-released onto VHS in 1998, yeah, we got it. While the character of Bill is shown smoking a cigarette in several sequences, the edited version cuts these scenes, resulting in the removal of almost the entire tornado sequence, which is a bummer, and creating some odd hand and mouth movements for Bill throughout. That's funny. So where he's smoking, they can digitally remove the cigarette, but he keeps putting his hand to his mouth for no reason. Oh boy. Let's see. In a review at DV Dizzy, it is noted that if one has an interest in the shorts, one will probably be upset to know that Disney had decided to digitally edit out contents of the 50 plus. Okay, yeah, we know Disney took it out. Great, now it's just repeating itself. We know all that stuff. Retrospective reviews. Yeah, I'm not super. Yeah, it just seems like it's still going over the same information that we kind of already talked about. But let's see. There's a part in here that references Dumbo. So let's go to where that sentence kicks off. Okay. Manic interpretation of Flight of the Bumblebee, known as Bumble Boogie, in which a bee terrorized by musical instruments and notes changes colors and outlines from one moment to the next as the backgrounds seamlessly dissolve, changing or morph around him. Okay, so the backgrounds seamlessly dissolve, change, or morph around him. As Disney's best piece of surrealism since the pink elephants on parade sequence in Dumbo. Okay, no, that wasn't what I thought it was gonna. I thought we were gonna get some other information, but yeah. Bumble Boogie was definitely had some pink elephant vibes to it. I'll definitely concede to that fact. Controversy, legacy. Many of the 7 segments were later re-released as shorts, and some of them became more successful than the original film. Bumble Boogie was among the few segments to receive huge popularity upon individual release. So, yeah, I get it. I get why. Because a lot of these, like I've been saying, I know as independent releases and not so much as being a part of Melody Time. The article, the Walt Disney Classics Collection gets Twitter-pated for spring, notes that The little Toot segment of the film was so popular that it was re-released on its own as a short cartoon in 1954. I've seen that as a standalone, and was subsequently featured on Walt Disney's popular weekly television series. There are many references to the Pecos Bill segment in the Frontierland part of Magic Kingdom. I said that earlier. There is a sign of Bill outside the Pecos Bill Tall Tale Inn and Cafe. Let's try that again, because I got excited and jumped off midway through the sentence. There are many references to the Pecos Bill segment in the Frontierland part of Magic Kingdom. There's a sign of there's a sign of Bill outside the Pecos Bill Tall Tale Inn and Cafe, as well as various images of him, the other characters, and their accessories around the cafe. A pair of gloves with the inscription, "To Billy, All My Love, Slewfoot Sue," is located in a glass display case. In the world of Disney, Jose Carioca from Blame It on the Samba appears in a mural on the ceiling among many other characters. In a glass case behind the windows of the All-Star movies, there's a script for Melody Time. Interesting. Yeah, like I was saying, Pecos Bill has his own giant restaurant in Frontierland at Magic Kingdom. So that's really cool. That's really, really cool that what I call deep cuts Disney. You know what I mean? Like, sure. So Marissa, she and Rylan loved to eat at Pecos Bill's whenever they would go to Magic Kingdom before, Marissa and I were together. And we have been since then together. And atmospherically, it is a fantastic dining experience for, just like being in the park. The ambiance in the main dining room is very, it honestly reminds me of like Old Town San Diego, because it's got like the very, Mexican and like Old West architecture and imagery, which, speaks to my childhood, and I love it. So that's cool. That's very cool. I'm glad, if nothing else, we got to touch in on Pecos Bill and his impact at Magic Kingdom. So I don't want to say sorry, but I do want to say sorry, because I feel like this episode was kind of, I don't know. I make the mistake of podcasting after doing a whole bunch of classic cartoon commentaries. Whenever I talk this much throughout a day, I get that vocal fry, and I don't know. I'm sorry. I'm sorry if I wasn't as energetic and enthusiastic as I have been in other retrospective episodes, but maybe I'm being too hard on myself. I feel like we got a good bit of information. I feel like we touched in on all the things that really mattered. Let's see if there's anything here. Did you know? Trivia. Okay, so we know the smoking was taken out. All right, so some goofs. At the end of Pecos Bill, when Pecos and Widowmaker go back to live with the Coyotes, it's seen that Pecos has removed his clothes and left them in a pile in the desert, and Widowmaker has removed his horseshoes. However, that's only a segment. I want to read the whole thing. However, Widowmaker lost his horseshoes earlier in the cartoon when he was bucked around when Slewfoot Sue was riding him, and a cowboy was seen being hit in the head with the horseshoes. Okay, that's not necessarily a goof in my mind, because sure, when he was trying to buck Slewfoot Sue off him, why couldn't he have gotten new horseshoes put on. So that's so much for that legitimate goof, which to me means that Pecos Bill was flawless. Oh, anyhow. Well, hey, I appreciate it, guys. I really appreciate you trudging through this one with me, sticking to it, sticking with me. I'll be a lot more lively later on. I think I was very lively during the watch along. So if I brought you down during the retrospective, go watch the watch along. It's way more fun. Come on over and scope out leallegacy.com. That's where you can find the full catalog of all the Disney Watch Along podcasts. I know on a lot of the podcast platforms, they will only give you like the 10 most recent episodes. I don't know what the workaround is for that, but, you know, fret not. I have everything archived at leallegacy.com. Just go up to podcasts, Radnarok, and then I think there's specifically a category for both. There is a category specifically for both animated features and then animated shorts. So you can find all the animated feature watch-alongs there from Snow White on. And I do have a retrospectives category too, where, you know, we learn everything we didn't know we wanted to know about each film. So you can find all those archived on the Leal Legacy website. Also at the Leal Legacy website, you can and are encouraged to shop in our Skeleton Crew store. Shopping Skeleton Crew brand is the best way to financially support Leal Legacy. I don't do a Patreon. I don't do, you know, subscription content of any kind or anything like that. So to help finance all of this and keep it afloat, best way to do it is to shop Skeleton Crew. I've taken a new turn with Skeleton Crew, which I will probably do a Skeleton Crew retrospective podcast to really deep dive into where my mind's at. But I have an undying need and desire in my soul to be as much like Walt Disney as possible. And I'm utilizing Skeleton Crew now to develop my own cartoon kind of characters like Mickey Mouse and Donald Duck and stuff, like iconic characters that are specifically Leal Legacy characters, known as Skeleton Crew, and individually they're Crew tunes. So go check that out. Yeah, it's just my attempt at being as Disney-like as possible. So all Skeleton Crew apparel moving forward will be featuring some sort of just iconically derived character specifically for Skeleton Crew. So go check it out. I don't know. I need to figure out how to word that and do like a deep introspective. Is that it? Maybe it's an introspective, not a retrospective. But anyhow, yeah, I think they're really cool. Their characters very much developed from my personal kind of just, you know, personality and flair for imagery and whatnot. So go check that out. This podcast, pretty please, across or on any one of your favorite podcast platforms of choice, leave us a rating. Hopefully a 5-star or the highest rating that they allow you. Leave a review, hopefully a positive one, and subscribe, because that is ultimately the best way for the podcast to be found and discoverable for others. And then YouTube. You want some visual aspects from Leal Legacy? Go to our YouTube page. On our YouTube page, you can, at this moment in time, can find 200 plus classic cartoons with me running my mouth over them. So it's kind of like the Watch Along podcast, but it's all on shorts. It's all on cartoons. So there's no need to sync audio to visual. I do the audio right over the visual, so it's all happy and fun in one place. And like I said, there's over 200 of those right now. So... and they keep on coming. I did 5 more before I recorded this podcast, so there we are. And I don't intend on stopping. So I'm just mad. I'm just building a collection of me. I mean, that's what Radnarok is. Radnarok is me providing questionable commentary on all things I think are rad. And I think Disney's rad. I think old animation's rad. I think a lot of things are rad. So there's going to, you know, there's a lot to come, a lot of possibilities out there for Leal Legacy and this podcast, Radnarok. So I hope you stick by us, stick through it. I need to go lay down. I need to stop talking and just take a break. So thank you. Appreciate you all. Catch you on the next retrospective. And don't be afraid to go back and rewatch these movies listen again. Listen to the watch-alongs again with the movies. You know, family friendly. I don't swear. I don't have a potty mouth. Anyway, thanks again, guys. Oh, and social media. See, I almost forgot. Social media. You can find Leal Legacy across all your favorite social media platforms. Just at Leal Legacy. Keep it simple, stupid. All right. Thanks again, guys. Catch you next time. Later.